Hi, welcome back to part 4 of the Grand Hauler build. So this is where I left it last time. Looking awesome, still waiting for the fuel tank to arrive. So I'm on to step 36, which is getting this coupler sorted out and installed. So I'll just bring you over here. So number 36, there it is. I've also got the instructions for the motorised legs out and the MFC instructions. So this is pretty much the same as the main manual. And there's the sort of additional parts you need from the motorised leg kit and here. And so I've gone over here and you can actually get the specifics on what you need. So as usual, got everything out. So over here are all the parts from the truck kit. Now all these plastic parts are actually included in the MFC as well. So there's like a double up there. There's the little actuator switch. And then over here are the bits needed from the motorised leg kit. And then I've got another little pile of bits here, which are to connect the sort of two bits together, sort of over here. Anyway, enough waffle. I'll get on with it, bring you back when I've done a bit. First step, minus the ball end installation, because that goes in a different location later on. There's the second step done. Now I've put that in, but I haven't thread locked it because I'll be taking it out again in a minute to do that part and put another rod nut in. So be back over here to do this bit, then back over there to do that bit, and then back over here again to do that bit. So there's the third step completed. Lots of fiddly little parts in there. I'll see if I can just move them. So there's that bit, and then just behind that there's another spring and the little switch for the MFC in there. So there's the other rod nut that I needed. I didn't get it out before. It was in the motorised leg kit. There's also one in the MFC kit. And that just goes in there. That's done, and there's two actions on this. I think that way uncouples the trailer and must activate that bit as well. And then that way that pushes and hits a switch on the trailer which makes the legs go up and down. So that's step 36 completed, and that's ready to attach to the plate that then goes on the chassis. There's the coupler finished. Right, so after building the coupler assembly, I moved on to the motorised leg support servo assembly. And this has caused a few problems, and I've ended up going backwards to go forwards. I'll show you where I'm at. So here it is, and it works well. The only issue I found was a regular size servo didn't fit between the chassis rails along with the servo horn. And I'm using the Savox servo, so I bought 3 the same. So the 2 I've got here for the transmission and the steering, I bought a third one for here, but like I just said, it doesn't fit. So I've had to use a low profile one that I had spare, which was ready in waiting for another project. The good side of doing that is that the wiring fits nicely in the gap up the side, and I've ended up redoing the wiring loom again. After seeing a comment from Keith, it got me thinking, and I went and bought some spiral wrap, 6mm, about 2.5 meters long, and basically had to start again because I'd forgotten about the wiring for the servo and the wiring for the coupler as well, which you might be able to just see in there if I lift that up. So that's all nicely hidden in the loom now, and I've managed to get it to the side. There's some little clips that come with the MFC. There's 3 of them, so I've put one there, and there's one there. So that's all sort of ready now. I have checked the lengths of the wires, and I sort of, you know, built up the platform here for the MFC and checked the shortest wire, which happens to be the coupler wire, which is in there somewhere. There, number 12, J12. Sorry, there. Anyway, it's long enough. Just makes it. The only thing is the servo lead is too short, so I need to get an extension for that. The only other option would have been not having it in the loom and have it visible between there and the cab, which I didn't want. So just waiting for the other fuel tank now and keep going with this. But yeah, third time lucky on this one. You live and learn. Best not to tidy up the wires before you've sort of done it. Now, I did actually wind it and then wound that wire in and then installed that, and then kept winding and then installed that wire, wound it a bit more, then installed that on, and sort of did it as I went. There might be a better way of doing it, but that's the kind of neatest I could do. Here's just another quick look from underneath so you can see what I'm going on about. And there's the low profile servo, so there's now a lot of room either side and the wiring just slips in there. Here are the servos. The one on the left, the SC0254MG is the standard one, and the one on the right, the SC1252MG is the low profile one. I'll just show you the dimensions because this might help you if you're doing the same. You might want to use a different brand. So just to compare, here's the standard Savox one alongside a high-tech one, which I kind of stopped using because the splines don't work with the servo horns on most Tamiya cars. Yeah, it's about the same-ish in the length, but on the height, it's quite a bit different. Now, I did get this high-tech one to fit, nearly. It's still a tiny bit too big, but you can see there that the top is further away from the mounting point and the bottom is quite a lot deeper as well. So this is just way too big, and even that's too big. So if you want to be safe, I'd use a low profile one. I'm now on to step 39, which is building the mechanism deck A, and there are two little supports there that you don't install. They're used to sit the seats on for the driver, but with the MFC, that's where the speaker goes. So there are 4 little bits you have to remove as well. I've already built that, it's pretty easy. That's it there. You can just see those 4 lines where I've chopped the plastic off. I've also made the B part, which is for the rest of the MFC. Again, pretty simple. The only thing with that was there's some holes to drill, 3mm holes, 6 of them just there. It does talk about drilling this one here and this one as well, but therefore, if you are installing a regular antenna, so if I just show you that on the next page, that's here. So those 2 there, I didn't bother to drill because my receiver doesn't have an antenna. So the next step then is installing the vibration unit, and to do that you kind of go to the MFC instructions, and that's also the same for the speaker, but I'll come to that later. So here is the MFC instructions, so most of these parts you need. You also have to select the right weight. There's a counterweight B and a counterweight A, 2 different sizes, and in these instructions here it tells you to use counterweight A. So over here I've got all the bits out, There are the two weights, so that's A on the left, B on the right. Some kind of little motor there, some screws, and that's it. Oh yeah, oh those two little bits there, they were in the kit, the main truck kit. The rest of this is in the MFC. So I'll get that built up now. Step 41 done. So that's the RC unit 1 they're calling it, but I'd call it the vibration unit. So that's been attached. I've also put the receiver on. I've put it as far to the left as possible so that when the deck thing for the MFC in the next step goes on top, there's room to get to the terminals if you need to connect or disconnect anything. Here are the bits you need for step 42. There it is put together, nice and straightforward. There's a decent bit of room there to get your cables connected. And here's the mechanism decks installed. So to install the speaker, first you've got to build it, and the instructions for that again are in the MFC. Different options based on different trucks, but on this one it's this speaker box here. Not a lot to it. Speaker mesh and the box for it. You also need 4 flange tapping screws to screw the speaker through the mesh to the box front. It also recommends screwing it on first and then cutting it after, which is a good idea. So I laid it on, pressed it down, and then cut a little slit, like a cross shape, through the 4 holes of the speaker before putting the screw in, then gently tightening it up. So there's the speaker finished. The instructions did say to cut a little bit of the casing away and pass the wires through there. Didn't like that idea, so I've used the porthole, I suppose you'd call it, on the back to pass it through. Just before I stick the speaker and the MFC in, I thought I'd just show you the wiring. So I've added another bit of spiral wrap there for the 2 cables that come from the servo, and that goes round to here, and the 2 servo extension leads that came in the post today, they're both 75mm. They're all kind of tied together. Then there's the loom that comes from the back lights and the coupler, that's there, which will sort of come out in the middle just next to where they all plug in. And then there's the 3rd loom which come from the control box under there, and I've wound in the blue and black vibration motor wires and the speaker wires, the green and white ones, into that loom, because they all end up this side somewhere here on the MFC. So hopefully it might help one of you guys if you're doing the same. There's many different ways you can do this. This isn't necessarily right, it's just how I've done it, and I may change it as I go along, but I've mounted the speaker flush to the front of that deck and just left enough room there to get the cables up between it and the MFC. So there's the wiring pretty much done, apart from the main cab and lighting. So we've got the servo wires there. Then we've got this front loom which has the 5, 3 and 7 pin harnesses that come out of the main control box, which is under there. And then we've also got the vibration motor harness and the speaker harness. So they're all nice and neat on this side of the MFC. And then over here you've got all the harnesses that come from the rear lights and the coupler. On this side I used some more spiral wrap to tidy up the wires for the motor and also the wires to the receiver. Okay, so I'm going to call this video done for now. As you can see, it's turning into the world's longest Grand Hauler build video series, and you're not seeing things. I've gone backwards. I've had to remove the MFC and all the wiring pretty much back to this point here. I tested it just as I'd finished installing it all, and the coupler wasn't working. Took it apart, found that the wires were loose in the switch and they literally fell out. Now I don't know whether it was faulty like that from factory, or more likely I probably did it installing it. The wires are really thin, really delicate, and they probably just came loose from the solder. The coupler switch itself does a couple of things. When the trailer connects onto it, it presses the little switch and it increases the power from the motor. So when you've got a trailer on, you've got more power, and when the trailer's off, you've got less power. It also makes a couple of sound effects. It makes a noise for coupling and then a noise for uncoupling. So because I'd wound the wires into the loom and it was all so neat and tidy, there was no way of getting it out. I had to take everything out to get that wire out and find out what was wrong with it. So I've ordered a new wire. It's a good week away, coming from Hong Kong, and once I get that, I'll get it installed. It shouldn't take too long because it's all ready to go, and then I'll move on with the body lights and get that on, get a running video on it, and then move on to the trailer build. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing, commenting, liking, persevering, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.